Hey guys, so here bringing you another video. Welcome to another patch note breakdown. I'll be completely honest, I actually recorded a bunch of this, and I say recorded. I got about halfway through the patch notes and then noticed I did not click the recording button. So it does mean I know what's coming about halfway through, so I've got already opinions about it. But anyway, we've got nerfs to Jarvan, Kane, Rell, Tryndamere, Zaya. We got buffs to Gwen, Irelia, Canon, Senna, and Thresh. System changes to Crown, Spear, Stormraiser, and Static Shiv, and adjustments to Bard. Briar, the new champion, is coming out tomorrow of me recording this, so patch day Wednesday, she's coming out. And we've got the new Street Demon skin line. Worth also knowing, we're getting very close to Worlds. So some of these changes, you might be like, Gwen seems to be okay. With the change that you're doing, you've got to sometimes get in the mentality of World is coming, so they want to... I don't know why Riot does it all the time, but they're like, we're going to shake things up and put, you know, buff champions to different roles and cause chaos just before Worlds. They always do it. But yeah, hopefully this patch will not be... Well, dare I say, League at the moment, does it feel balanced? Well, no, but it hasn't felt terrible. Again, the damage is still very high, but the game is actually feeling okay. There's just been some very obvious use case examples of very strong champions. Two of them are in the nerf list, Jarvan, Tryndamere. So they're working on that, so that's good. So let's get into it. So the new champion, Briar. Do I realistically think she's going to be healthy? It's hard to say. Like, she's a modern Warwick with like a bit of Master Yi thrown in. She's also, you know, I hate to say it, but she's a Riot August champion, and they don't have the best track record of being balanced. I will make a bold prediction. Let's see how correct I am. In her first week of coming out, her win rate that people love to talk about will either be roughly 45% or 55%. It will not be 50%. I think she's going to be an extreme, because I actually think that she's going to be incredibly hard to balance, because she's incredibly one-dimensional. She's actually probably one of the most one-dimensional champions that Riot have released in a very long time, because she's akin to Master Yi or Warwick, that they have one singular focus and that's what they do. That is Briar in a nutshell. Her singular focus is attacking one thing a lot. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, we'll leave it at that, but we'll see. So Bard, dare I say, has lost his identity a bit. And what does that mean? So Bard was the roaming support. Like, before roaming on support was done a lot, he roamed. Why? Because of his passive, collecting meeps. That's what he was all about. And when you collect the meep that's near mid lane, hey, guess what? I'll do a cheeky gank in mid lane. That's what Bard did. And obviously other supports did roam a little bit, but his identity was a roaming support. I do think, because of what's happened, you know, how many games have you been in recently that your enemy support is in top lane at level 3? It's fairly common nowadays, which is a bit bizarre. I think roaming in support has gotten a little bit out of control. So I do think Bard has lost his identity a bit. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. I guess it depends your own opinion. But they are going to give him a little bit of love, which I think is good. So his passive, Traveler's Call, maximum chime stacks is going to 5 to 10. Which, again, let me know, because I don't know the absolute specifics sometimes of champion stuff. I think that's to do with holding meeps for then his empowered auto attack, I'm guessing. And then the chime stack duration is going from 7 to 20. I'm guessing that is for his bonus movement speed. When he collects a chime, he gets the bonus movement speed. I'm guessing, but let me know if you know specifically. And then his W, so his healing shrine, they're actually changing this to be a stackable thing. So think of like Heimer can hold 3 turrets. Bard will be able to hold 2 shrines at any given time. So it kind of looks like there's a bit of a nerf here of like the cooldown slash the recharge time is going up by 4 seconds because you can hold 2 of them together. So it's actually really nice. So you could quickly heal your AD carry and then heal yourself, or you could put 2 of them down ready for a play to happen. That's a nice quality of life change. And then a big thing too is when you put your Bard W down, again, some people probably don't even know this, but it has a transition phase of having kind of like stage 1, stage 2. Stage 1 is when you just press it, and it used to take 10 seconds to turn into stage 2. It's now going to take 5 seconds, so halving, and stage 2 does a considerable amount more healing. So that's a really nice change as well. The negative, if you will, of this kind of like, especially early strength, because that's going to be a lot better for lane phase, for example, is his movement speed that you're gaining when you pick up one of the W's is being nerfed in the early game, but it's actually being buffed in the late game. That it's going to 30%. It's staying at 30%, but it's having a tiny ability power ratio. So in late game, yeah, it's going to do over 30% bonus movement speed, decaying over 1.5 seconds. Gwen, health growth increased and passive damage to monsters increased. So this is what I was talking about, like some of the changes you're like, what? Yeah, Gwen in the jungle is quite an exciting all-in pick. So this is an example to me that they're probably only doing this to experiment it for pro play and becoming a world's pick. So the health growth is going up, so that is good in jungle and top lane, so that helps top as well. But yeah, her passive is being buffed for jungle monsters, so more magic damage to jungle monsters, therefore jungle is going to be a lot more viable again. And again, like they said here, like they had jungle Gwen and they nerfed it in 12.13 a year ago. Well, over a year ago. We're in 13.18 now. So they're giving that a little bit back. So questionable, I would say, but we'll see how that goes. Irelia, thankfully, Irelia is not the absolute powerhouse that she has been, you know, in the past. She's a personal kryptonite of mine, as you probably all know. But you know, she's a very all-in, and the thing what I would say about Irelia is, this might sound stupid because a lot of league champions are, but she's very predictable. You know what Irelia wants to do in lane phase, you know it, you know, and like a Renekton, you know what he wants to do in lane phase. A Pantheon, you know what they want to do in lane phase. It's weird to say, but it's harder sometimes to stop them than an Irelia. Why? Irelia's got a skill shot stun, so when you know she's about to go for this kind of crazy all-in, you can sidestep it, you can definitely flash it, and that kind of ruins her momentum a lot of the time in her all-in early, where a Pantheon has a clickable stun W, Renekton has a clickable stun W. You can't flash them specifically, like if you get caught by them, you're caught by them. I'd say that's one of the little bit of the differences, but we'll see how it goes with Irelia, because like she is a champion that at any moment could suddenly become crazy. So her ultimate is getting a 15-second buff. So yeah, 15-second buff, which is a bit scary because she still obviously isn't a pure early game champion anymore, but she still dominates lane phases a lot of the time. All right, so one of the big problematic champions of the last patch, Jarvan. I know Reddit bring it up, and I would also like some maybe communication from Riot about it. What makes a champion vital? Like, what makes it so that they should hotfix nerf something, and what makes it that they can wait till the next patch? Because I personally would say Jarvan and Tryndamere definitely should have been hotfix nerfed, or at least like Spear of Shojin should have been hotfix nerfed. Tryndamere obviously was a slightly different issue. I would like to hear from Riot of like, you know, why do they sometimes let crazy OP stuff that slip through the net, or they just didn't think would be that strong? Why do they let that go the full 2 weeks? Or because they do hotfix nerf sometimes, so that would be interesting. Let me know if you have any insight or what you think is, because Jarvan was literally pick or ban every game. If you know, especially in higher rankings, he was in every game. Hilariously, I didn't even get to play him once. I wanted to, and I tried to, and every time I tried to play him, he was banned. But specifically, because some people are like, this isn't a massive nerf. Jarvan obviously got more of Jarvan's problems was his absolute synergy with items. Gore Drinker and Spear of Shojin, it just made Jarvan so powerful, especially Spear, that when you were constantly auto-attacking, he basically had complete chain CC of people having EQ available so often. And obviously, with Jarvan modern day building very high damage with his passive doing a lot of damage, it was such a kind of a perfect combo of strength That's what happened with Jarvan. So his personal nerf, and hilariously, because like it's where Jarvan's gonna go from hero potentially to zero, because they're not just nerfing the items, they're also nerfing him personally. So he's getting the double whammy when arguably a lot of his strength was the items being so good with him. So his passive, which is like the big bonk auto attack, which used to do 8% of target's current health, it's now going to 6% of target's current health. So it is less. It's still not bad, but it is less. Next up, before I get on, I did mention this before. I obviously noticed I wasn't recording last time, and I think it's kind of a funny thing. And if you've got any funny like lore things as well, let me know. If you notice Jarvan's eyes here, a different color. There is it's not even like a conspiracy theory, really. Like it's got a lot of traction to it in lore of League of Legends. That basically, a lot of people think, and there was kind of like an old screenshot or an old piece of art that had Jarvan and then a mirror, and then in the mirror the reflection was LeBlanc. But in the lore, a lot of people think Jarvan the Fourth is dead, and LeBlanc, obviously, who can disguise herself as a sorceress, has taken basically his appearance and is Jarvan now. LeBlanc is Jarvan. She's taken control of Demacia, etc. And the different eye color is a little bit of a nod to that's actually not Jarvan. Let me know, his eye is the one on his left and LeBlanc's eye is on the right or something like that. That's kind of the idea, is showing that it's not something that isn't quite right here. Let me know if you have. Let me know what you think of that, and let me know if you've got any other weird lore things. It'd be cool if Riot did more lore stuff like that, but they kind of have stopped, which is unfortunate. Kassadin. So the funny thing with the Kassadin change, I remember this popping up on Reddit again, of people complaining. I don't know if it's complaining, but just letting people know. Last patch, Kassadin got buffed, but they didn't put it in patch notes. So this, I believe, is not changing. I think this is already in the game. So where he should have been at a 40% AP ratio on his ult, it's 60% now. And I believe this is not new. This has already been in the game for 2 weeks. They're just officially putting it in a patch note now. So if you've noticed more Kassadins in the last couple of weeks, I definitely have. This is why, because he should definitely not have a 60% ultimate ratio. I can almost guarantee this is going to be nerfed in the next few patches. Anyway, Kane, one of the other kind of problematic champions that pretty much always will be problematic. Kane's kit is innately strong. Not a lot of champions have two basically different champions as one, so you can kind of go in either direction depending how you're doing. And yes, I know technically people will say, oh, blue has better synergy with a certain rune set and red has a better synergy with a certain rune set. True, but I have seen blue Kanes taking over with Conqueror. I have seen red Kanes doing really well with Dark Harvest. So like, ish, like, so these are specifically nerfed to red form, which is Rost. So his bonus healing was 20 to 30% based on his level. It's now going to 25% flat, so it's technically a buff in healing the moment that he probably gets red form, but then it's a nerf later on in the game. And then his ultimate, obviously without being weird, going inside people, was 15% of target's maximum health, and then it's a bonus. It used to be 13% extra per 100 bonus AD. That's being nerfed. The bonus, it's still 15% of target's maximum health, but it's now 10% per bonus 100 AD. So 3% extra kind of bonus is being nerfed away. He'll still be strong. It's Kane. He's a champion that you kind of wish went away, but in the last couple of years just has never gone away. Because it's like, okay, red form's been nerfed, well, blue's back. Okay, blue's gone away, well, red's back. It's a bit annoying, but if you like Kane, I guess you're happy that he's always good in one way or another. Canon, E energy cost decreased, and then R cooldown now decreases with rank. So this is really good for Canon, by the way. So the energy cost is going from 100 to 80. It's now 80 at all ranks, so the same energy cost rank 5E was. So that's a really good change. Again, do not sleep on energy cost reduction abilities for energy champions. It means that they potentially could get another rotation or another spell off in one combo rotation. That's a big deal. And then arguably the bigger deal for Canon, his ultimate is kind of being modernized like every other champion, basically. It used to be a flat 120 seconds every single rank. You know, level 6, 11, 16, 120 seconds. That's really old in terms of league design. Obviously, the tempo of the game, what a lot of people complain about nowadays, is how quick people have abilities constantly up. But older champions like Canon were still kind of left in the dark. A lot of champions still are like that. They're having to do this, and that's why he's being buffed in this way, because that's the difference between old and new champions a lot of the time, is new champions, practically all of them, have scaling lower cooldown on every single ability, where older champions used to not. The game used to be a lot slower. So Canon's ultimate is going to go down eventually at level 16, rank 3, to an 80-second cooldown. With a bit of ability haste, this could be roughly a 60-second cooldown ability ultimate for Canon. 60 seconds roughly with ability haste. That is going to be a very powerful late-game Canon. Every team fight, he'll have ultimate practically. That's very good. Rell, strong champion. I think that the weakness of Rell is... And I don't think this is a weakness of the game. I actually like it. Too many champions are good in too many scenarios and situations. Every champion, you know, it sounds stupid to say, but in my opinion, League used to be designed of, okay, that champion's good in this area, that champion's good in this area, that's a certain champion, you know, that's a poke champion, that's an all-in champion. I think League has lost their way a bit with that. Every champion can be played in every comp, and you can just do anything you want constantly, it kind of feels like. Rell is an all-in champion. That's what she does. And obviously her mini rework made her, from being really slow, arguably made her a bit too quick, and they're just kind of toning that back. But going on to her weakness, I think Rell's weakness in bot lane support is she is only realistically good with a handful of AD carries. But again, I don't think that's a negative. I think that is good. Not every support should work with every AD carry and vice versa. So she works really well with Samira, Draven, arguably even like Kai'Sa, like all in Tristana even maybe. Like that's what she wants. She doesn't want, I don't know, a Varus really. She doesn't really want a Caitlyn. And I think that's fine. And I think that's good. But yeah, they're basically just toning down some of her movement speed that she got from the mini rework. Arguably, she went from one of the slowest champs in the game, not to one of the fastest, but maybe a bit too quick for what she is. So they've toned that back a bit. So she used to get 25% movement speed at max rank, moving away from enemies. It's now going to 20. And then going towards enemies, arguably the more powerful version because of your engage power, was 50% bonus movement speed. Going towards, it's now 40. So yeah, just kind of toning down some movement speed. Senna, passive critical strike ratio reduction removed. So that's very good for Senna. And W now applies passive to all enemies caught in the AoE. So you can obviously, I believe, harvest, obviously, souls, sucking the soul, getting more stacks, I think. That's pretty good for Senna. I like Senna, but she's always in that... She could be overpowered at any given time. Because the premise of a champion is both an AD carry and a support is an absolutely wild design. Like... just that premise alone is hard to balance, and I actually think she's been relatively balanced recently. I don't know if this is a good idea, both of these things, because that could just that slight change could just flip it and she's OP again. Maybe Riot obviously want her in Worlds. It is a possibility, and that's maybe why they're doing it, but we'll see. Thresh, W shield strength per soul increased. So I like Thresh. You know, he is kind of a fan favorite, as they say here. You know, Toaster in our Clash team loves Thresh, and he makes it work. You guys see pop-off plays with Toaster all the time. Because I think Thresh, it's going to sound weird, he is an older champion, and it's that methodology that I love, is not everybody can pull off Thresh. He is completely how good you are with Thresh. When you see a good Thresh, you know it, and you really appreciate it. It's like... the difference of when you see a good Yone, you can't tell because they all look the same. A bad Yone and a good Yone, they're all doing the same stuff. They're all smashing their head on their keyboard. There ain't much difference, but a Thresh, you really can tell the difference of someone that's good or bad on that champion. You really can, and you really appreciate it. So he's going to get more shield basically per soul. So I believe before, obviously, he picks up his souls, he got an extra 1.5, like literally the number per soul. So if he has 100 souls, his shield will gain 150 extra shielding. It's now going to 2. So that's a pretty big buff. So if he has 100 souls, where before he has an extra 150 on his W shield, he'll now have 200. So that's pretty nice. That's a nice change. Trinity Nips, obviously, I think I'm not the only one to think that they shouldn't have done what they did. I said it, I think, in the last patch notes of giving Tryndamere, I think it was an extra 50 range, was a really bad idea. And I just don't think Riot fully soaked it, like, kind of thought about it. Like, the reason why, you know, historically, Tryndamere's not been the most overpowered champion. He has in the last patch because of what they've done. And if you're a Tryndamere enjoyer, hopefully you don't find what I'm about to say, whatever. But no matter if you like Tryndamere or don't, no matter if he's OP or not, the one thing that Tryndamere has always been is one of the most frustrating champions to play against in League. Always. Like, he has always been. No matter the meta, no matter how League's balance is, no matter items, if there's a Tryndamere in the game, you are most likely frustrated by him. Unless he's really bad, he doesn't have his R key bound. He is just terrible. If he's an average Tryndamere, he is really annoying. It's the Master Yi effect. It's the Tryndamere effect. You never feel that you get outplayed by one, and sometimes there is nothing you can do against one. You know, if he gets a little bit ahead, he's RNG based with crit. You get dove. You know, he's got his ultimate, so he survives a tower dive, and, well, what could I have done? So when you have a champion like that, who's always frustrating, and you give them an easier way to just right-click you, 50 range extra is just simply an easier way to right-click you. He doesn't need to be as close. He gets to right-click easier. It's a recipe for disaster. It truly is. Like, it's a really bad idea. Now, this is one of the things I really wish, and it's not just a Riot issue. It's a game dev issue. It's a human issue. When people make changes, they hate to admit it was a bad idea or they were wrong. It's a human thing. This is one of the cases that I really do think Riot should have admitted it was just a bad idea. We tried it. Okay, it was a bad idea. It's very frustrating. We're going to revert the range. Because I'd imagine, like, I've always given examples of, like, mains or one tricks, right? Not as a negative to them. Well, it is a negative to them. But imagine you've been a Tryndamere one trick for 5 years. He's not really a banned champion. He's not really a massively picked champion. He's a niche champion. He's got a very, in a way, boring playstyle for most of the player base. But for the people that like him and enjoy him, they really like and enjoy him, which is great. But now, because they've made him into this easier right-click, a little bit OP champion, more people are playing him. Hell, I've played him a few times in this last patch. He is also now getting banned a lot more than he did before. So if I was a Tryndamere one-trick player, I bet they're happy and not. You've made my champion that I love way stronger and way even easier to play. But hey, the enemy top lane has picked Tryndamere and I can't play him now. Oh wait, they've banned my Tryndamere. I can't even play him. That's happening more, and I bet that's annoying for those Tryndamere players too. So they're toning down his health growth and they're removing 2 of his starting AD. That's not really enough. Obviously, some of the item changes below may also affect him. But yeah, that's not probably enough to make him not now picked all the time. 50 extra attack range of a champion that has historically always been frustrating to play against. And just right-clicks people, let's be honest. Yeah, they need to revert that. Maybe they will. Maybe they will. Who knows? Zaya, base health decreased, health growth increased, and E cooldown increased. So the base health is going down by 30, less tanky at level 1. And then the health growth, though, is going up. So she's squishier in the early game, but eventually it'll either level out or she'll actually gain more health later in the game. And then the Blade Caller, the E cooldown, is going up in the early game. So they're basically just trying to hurt her lane phase. Maybe they're just saying her lane phase is a bit too safe, a little bit too easy. She's a scaling AD carry, as she should be. Weak in the early game, stronger in late game, so that's kind of what they're doing. They're just toning down her early game, which I don't think is a bad thing. So yeah, Crown. I still find it weird. Well, general premise, this item is bad. That's one thing I will say. Like, it was a good idea. So you have to remember why they implemented this item. They implemented this item in a panic that when the damage in League became absolutely ridiculous, like literally one-shots were happening every game, assassins could build Bruiser and still one-shot. That was before the durability update. Riot didn't know how to make mages be able to play the game, because if you were a mage player, you literally couldn't survive at all. This was Riot's answer to that, of we'll give you an item that makes you take way less damage for a while. Obviously, since then, we've had the durability update. One-shots still happen, but less frequent, which is good. This item has become useless. And at the same point, I think it's kind of a noob bait. You don't really see this item in higher ranking. Why? Because it's too easy to proc. If you're playing an assassin, you will never go all in if someone's got crown. You proc it, and then, oh, it's procced. Now you're vulnerable, because the moment that this item is procced and you don't have that damage reduction anymore, you're easy kill. Like, Everfrost is better as a defensive because at least, oh, they've engaged on me. Yes, I don't have 70% damage reduction, what it used to be. It's changing now, but you could like stun them and get away. It's just not a great item on most champions. There are probably very, very niche circumstances it's okay, but yeah. So the ability power is going up to 85, which is making it a bit more competitive. The safeguard was 75% damage reduction for 1.5 seconds. It's now going to 40% damage reduction for 2.5. And they are removing the extra ability power you got while the shield is active or whatever. Yeah, I just don't see why people would play or buy this item even more now, to be honest. So it is a bit weird for me. Like, this is one of the items that I'd imagine with the mythic. Obviously, mythics are going away. I imagine this is one of the items that is not going to survive. Right, I've already said some mythics are going to be kept, and they're going to be obviously downgrading everything to legendary. Some of them will survive. A lot of them are just going away. And Crown, I imagine, is going sayonara, because it's just not a great idea. Spirit Shojin, haha. Still ridiculous item, by the way. My people in Twitch chat have come to me this week and gone, Huz, did you see what they're doing to nerf Spear? I was like, what? 5 AD nerf. I was like, wait, is that it? So yeah, it's still going to be incredibly strong. It is worth knowing, if you don't know the history of this item, every single time that they introduce Spirit Shojin, it eventually becomes basically the most broken item in League. It's happened time and time again. Literally every time that Spear is about, it becomes busted. The people that use Spear, so you're talking Jax and all those champions, become OP. It's just a bad item to have. You should not have items that reduce cooldowns of your abilities, because that's what, again, we've spoken about many times. The tempo of League of Legends compared to what it used to be is so fast. And items like Spirit Shojin, Navori Quickblades, these items do not help, because you're basically making cooldowns redundant. If champions get their cooldowns back instantly, you just mess up with the tempo of the game completely. But yeah, it's still going to be incredibly strong. 5 AD is not enough. The ability of this item outweighs the attack damage on it, you know? So yeah, she's still going to be very strong. Static Shiv, still nerfing this item, by the way, which is funny. Like, will LeBlanc still buy it? Attack damage is going up though, so kind of getting away from the electro damage is what they're trying to do. So they're making it, or trying to make it, more of just an AD carry item, so more attack damage, and the actual shock was doing still 250 to 350 damage. It's now being flattened to 200. So they are really trying to get people away from this item, unless you are an AD carry that needs wave clear. So like Kai'Sa might still buy this item. Her wave clear is okay, but like some AD carries might still buy it. I think they're really trying to like make LeBlanc not buy this item anymore. They probably do not want that in Worlds, so we'll see how that goes. Stormraiser is also getting a 5 AD buff. You really don't see many champions buy this. I think the only common AD carry that I see is Jhin, and you don't see Jhin much anymore. You know, he's just too slow for the tempo of the game. So there's that. Clash. I think we are trying to play Clash this weekend, so look out for Clash content starting next week. Champion ability icon updates. I will say, don't want to add fuel massively to the fire. Some people are potentially thinking that the ability icon updates are AI made. I don't know how I feel about that, but yeah, hopefully they're not AI made. That's just kind of the floating rumor at the moment. But hopefully an actual artist was paid to do that. Arena ranked rewards. Ranked rewards for Arena will begin distribution September 18th. We expect the majority of rewards to be delivered. I didn't even... Oh, Gladiator icons. I got Gladiator. Oh, I had no idea we were actually getting rewards for the first iteration of Arena. Cool. Mythic Shop is changing about. Bug fixes, I've always said, look through the bug list, and if you especially play a champion, look into the bug fix that they're doing, because sometimes they're really important. And we're having the update up the new skins too. So there we go. Not a massive patch. Just kind of nerfing some especially OP stuff, which is good. I still think Tryndamere is going to be a problem. I still think Spear Shojin is going to be nuts. I still think Jarvan might be pretty strong, to be honest. You know, they haven't touched Gore Drinker, so the combo, let's be honest, is still going to be strong. Like, Jarvan was ridiculously overpowered this last patch, so he's probably going to go from ridiculously overpowered to strong. People will still play him, you know? But anyway, that's going to be it. If you guys did enjoy, obviously, if you appreciate the effort, I'm going to edit this right now, get it uploaded, make the thumbnail, do all that stuff. And I'm going to do that right now so you can watch it in literally a few hours' time. Do throw a like on the video. Let me know what you think about it. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace. Calm down!